Before they put their lives on the line, these officers need to be fully prepared for anything that comes their way.
See, I'm trying to look into that hallway, and I want to keep the weapon up, and I want to see if somebody's there. It's called slicing the pie, and it's a technique of trying to see what's there without exposing so much of your body.
News 11 gained exclusive access to train side by side with the Yuma Police Department Special Enforcement Unit.
The tactical team side is called the Special Enforcement Team. Our whole unit is encompassed for the unit is the negotiations team and tactical team.
It all begins with the right gear. Then we begin a series of exercises designed to ultimately keep the team on the same page.
Down there. Okay. So if you get to that point when there's nobody in front of you, just make sure you're watching.
Today's training is one of the trainings that we break out through the month, where today the tactical team was training on entry tactics based. Throughout our trainings throughout the year, we practice different facets of what we do in the whole compass of SWAT, but today's was encompassing entry tactics.
Fully suited up, we went right in, going through real-life scenarios.
Ultimately, with all the incidents that we go to, entry is our last resort of wanting to go in and clear it. But with all of our incidents, we do eventually have to go in the house or the dwelling, or the building, and clear it. So we're wanting all the teams to be on the same page of how fast or how slow they're entering it, and doing it as safely as possible.
Depending on the situation and after entry is made into a building where a suspect may be lurking, slow moving into the building is the best tactic.
What we were teaching was slow and deliberate. It's typically used for common scenarios, typically being trying to gain entry into the house where we don't want the suspect to know where we're at.
This is especially important in a place when a suspect is within an area and innocent lives are at stake.
For our team, it's the safest way to enter and breach a residence or a structure, and then to try and obtain the threat, and if so, neutralize it if we have to.
Communication is key for these officers. Any loss in that communication can bring life-threatening risks to the team.
Every movement is deliberate. We're slow, but we also have to be communicating with each other. When Morgan popped out here and Ben was right behind him here, I didn't hear any conversation. Hey, I'm popping out. Okay, let's make sure we're talking to each other.
Through communication, verbal communication, that's the easiest way. A lot of times that's afforded to us depending on the scenario, depending on the situation, depending on the call out.
But if verbal communication is out of reach, these officers do the next best thing.
Body language, it's only for when we practice so many times, you tend to get into the body language. You see your next partner's body language start to move towards a certain area. You know you have to do something different.
All the rest of this is yours technically, so you have to watch and make sure that there's no other threats on top of it.
This entry training is also a way for the special enforcement team to weed out possible mistakes and hopes the training becomes instinct during a real-life situation.
We will more than likely make mistakes. We try not to correct it right then and there, but we'll have a debrief afterwards, after that scenario, after that practice, after that training, and accurately identify those mistakes.
It's not an easy task knowing your life is on the line, especially when the suspect is armed. So what does it take to become part of the team?
SWAT team, you got to be on the PD a few years, and then from there they go in through a testing process, and during that testing process we're going to test their physical fitness ability, going over obstacles, carrying heavy items, a firearms proficiency, and then a jacket.
With every real-life situation this team is put on every day, each is different, but with the same ultimate goal of protecting our community.
So if the first guy in front of you goes left, you go right.
And this training is a message for criminals that they are ready to take them on with full force.